Thank you for tuning in to your one and only Track and Field Bleacher Report. I'm your host, the official track head here, coming to you with this weekend's men's NCAA Division I Track and Field recap. So, this past weekend we had a lot of good action on the track, a lot of quality marks, a lot of top qualifying marks that will get a lot of the individuals to qualify for NCAA Nationals. We had a lot of great meets. So on the men's side, we had some good matchups. At the Razorback Invitational, a lot of the top sprint schools were there. We had Texas A&M, LSU, Arkansas, of course, they were at home. Georgia was there. So we had a lot of good teams that traveled to Arkansas this past weekend to lock up on both the men's and the women's side. But on the men's 60, we had a good matchup between Cejhae Greene from the University of Georgia and TJ Brock from the University of Southern California, USC. With Cejhae Greene coming out on top, he ran 6:63, which is a PR for him. Taking down a very impressive field. TJ Brock from USC, he ran 6:64, which is also a PR for TJ Brock. Also this past weekend, at the New York Armory, the Dr. Sander Invitational Columbia Challenge, we had Cravon Gillespie from the University of Oregon, a new transfer, a junior college transfer that's at the University of Oregon. So he put down a good time this weekend, taking down Zack Bazile from Ohio State. Cravon ran 6:64, which is an indoor PR for him, and also Zack Bazile from Ohio State ran 6:68, which is also a PR for him. So those two individuals put down some good quality marks. Also this past weekend from the Northwestern State, Micah Larkins. You don't hear too much about Northwestern State, but Micah Larkins from the Northwestern State ran a 6:63, which is also a PR for him as well. So a lot of individuals PR'd already in the men's 60. This past weekend, we had a lot of personal records established in the men's 60, and so it looks like the men's 60, the times are getting faster and faster each week. So within the next few weeks, I expect a lot of runners that's on that 660, 662, 3, 4 bubble. They're going to start moving into the 650s. So that'll be interesting to see how the season progresses. So again, Cejhae Greene from Georgia had a good win over TJ Brock at the Arkansas Invitation, or the Razorback Invitational. And then Cravon Gillespie, who wasn't someone that was on the radar because he actually sat out in 2017. He had a red shirt year, 2017. So this is his first year on the NCAA Division I track and field scene. So he's only been at Oregon for I think like 2 or 3 weeks. So he really hasn't even been in that program long. So for him to run 6:64 already, with only a few weeks of training under the Oregon program, showing us that as the season progresses, he's probably get better and better and better. So he'll be a dark horse, one to watch out for as well. So the men's 60 is shaping up to be an interesting event this season. The men's 60-meter hurdles, Damian Thomas from LSU, the LSU freshman, he PR'd this past weekend running 7:75. He won the Razorback Invitational, so that was a pretty good field that he was running up against, and he took home the victory for LSU. So good job, Damian Thompson. He's having a really good freshman year, so we'll see how it goes as the season progresses. From Iowa, Chris Douglas, he ran a PR of 7:76. He was at home. David Kenzari from Illinois, he was at home and ran 7:76 as well. From the University of Clemson, Kirk Lewis, he ran 7:76 at the Clemson Invitational this past weekend. At the New York Armory, Braxton Kennedy from the University of Oregon, he won the Dr. Sander Columbia Challenge race, running 7:78. And also from the University of Georgia, Michael Nichols, he hit PR this past weekend at the Razorback Invitational, running 7:79. So congratulations to those men's 60-meter hurdle performers. And so those are times that probably will qualify them for nationals or put them in the conversation for qualifying for nationals. And they still have a few more weeks to improve over those times. So these runners will probably be some of the runners that will be, in your top 8 through 16, come nationals time in the next 6 weeks. In the men's 200 this past weekend, there wasn't a lot of activity as far as top qualifying marks that happened this past weekend. A lot of people did run the 200, but still the men's 200 is an event that's still slowly trickling. The times are slowly trickling in. A lot of the top runners still haven't really focused that heavily on the 200. So, but probably by the next 2 or 3 weeks, you'll see more times come in, more times breaking 21 seconds. Because I feel like if you're not breaking 21 seconds, it's not going to be a time that's going to qualify you for nationals. So that hasn't been like a lot of activity going on. But at the Penn State Invitational, there were 2 Penn State runners. A freshman, Terrence Laird from Penn State. He set an overall PR in 200 of 20:79. So that's a pretty good time, especially for a freshman. That's an overall PR for him. So he's having a really good freshman year. So he could potentially be an impact freshman this coming year. Also, Malik Moffitt from Penn State, he ran 20:96, getting second to his teammate at the Penn State Invitational race. So those 2 individuals had some good 200s this past weekend. Again, the men's 200 is just an event that's slowly progressing this year. So we'll see in the next 2 to 3 weeks, maybe over the next month, you'll get more individuals breaking 21 seconds and running 20 mid. So we'll see how that event plays out as the season progresses. In the men's 400, we had a good matchup at the Razorback Invitational between Arkansas and Florida and Texas A&M. The 3 SEC powers were there locking up in the men's 400. The victor was Obi Igbokwe from Arkansas. He ran an indoor PR of 45:72. So that was a really impressive run for Obi Igbokwe. Actually, in that race, he beat Conley Fasasi from the University of Florida and Malik Curley from Texas A&M. Those 3 were in the race together. It was a typical 400-meter race in the SECs where somebody gets the break and the people behind him are fighting for the break, and somebody ends up getting clipped up or tripped up, and the runners behind the individual who got the break ends up getting tangled up, and the rest of the race kind of just slows down. So Malik Curley and Conley Fasasi kind of got tangled up going into the second 200, and so their times were probably slower than what they would have actually run. I feel like definitely Malik Curley was on pace to run a 45 seconds because he finished very well, even because he was the worst. He was affected the worst in the race, and he actually ended up finishing very well even after getting tangled up. So I felt like he was on pace to run 45 seconds in this race, but did he end up running 40? Actually, he ended up running 46.2 or 46.1 in that race. Conley Fasasi actually ended up running 46.24 in that race, and him and Fred Curley leaned for the finish. Conley had just beat him out. In the other heat, actually from the University of Florida freshman Benjamin Vedel, he actually won that heat of the invitational race, running 46.10. He wasn't in the same race as Conley Fasasi, Obi Igbokwe, or Malik Curley, so that was a good race for him to be in because he didn't have to worry about getting caught up in that madness. So he actually had an unimpeded race and ran 46.10. So Benjamin Vedel from the University of Florida freshman, he's having a really good season. I think he set his country national record. I think he's Danish. He set the Danish country's national record at 46.10. So congratulations, Benjamin Vedel. And we'll see how Benjamin Vedel progresses as the season goes along and see if he can be a heavy contender when nationals roll around. But I still think that Malik Curley still has a lot left in the tank. Like I said, that was a bad race as far as just confusion and just getting tangled up in the race. So it's the 400 is going to be an interesting race as the season progresses. And other results of the men's 400. Dan Chestnut from Penn State, he was at home at the Penn State Invitational. He ran 46.27 at home. And also at the University of Clemson, University of Tennessee's Nathan Strother, he ran 46.39. So the 400, a lot of individuals are chipping away. Their times are slowly coming down. And I think that as the season goes on, we'll have more runners, breaking 46 seconds and a lot of runners in the 45-second range. I think it's probably going to take about 46 low to qualify for nationals this season. I think that as the season, probably by conference meets, you'll see a lot of these individuals like Nathan Strother and Dan Chestnut and Conley Fasasi and Malik Curley, Benjamin Vedel. I think all those runners will probably be in the 45s at their conference meet. So especially the SEC runners, it's going to take 45, probably mid to low, because you have the Auburn athletes as well in that conference. So it's going to take probably 45 seconds mid to win the SEC conference. So I feel like a lot of 45s will come out of the SEC conference, and we'll see a lot of more fast times as the season progresses. So the men's 400 is just like the 200. It's, just the results are slowly trickling in week by week, and they're lowering their times week by week. and we'll see how it all plays out in the next couple of weeks, in the next coming month. In the men's 800, Michael Saruni is continuing his amazing 2018 track season from UTEP. He ran an indoor PR of 1:45.19 at Texas Tech. So this is actually the number 2 time all time for collegiate. So he ran the number 2 time in all time collegiate history. So congratulations, Michael Saruni. And Michael Saruni has been on fire. I mean, he set the 600 meter collegiate record last weekend or the other week, and he's just been running some really fast times. He opened up with a 145 early in January, and he's lowered it to 145 low, almost running 144. So Michael Saruni is showing that he's definitely the favorite this season in the men's 800, and so we'll see if anybody else like Isaiah Harris can match him as the season progresses. But it's looking like Michael Saruni is in really good shape, and maybe he is the above and beyond favorite in the men's 800, but we'll still have to see how that race plays out when those two lock up toward the end of the season. Speaking of Isaiah Harris at the Penn State Invitational ran 1:47.79. So Isaiah Harris opened up in the 800 running 1:47, which isn't a bad opening time for Isaiah Harris. It's not a 1:45 like a Michael Saruni, but Isaiah Harris doesn't have to run 1:45 right now. He has to run 1:45, when it counts in the next, month or two. So Isaiah Harris, he had a good opener this past weekend. Vincent Crisp from Texas Tech, he ran 1:48.01 at home. He was in the race with Michael Saruni, and he ran 1:48. So Vincent Crisp from Texas Tech is going to be one to watch out in the 800. Maybe he can be a podium finisher. We'll see how the rest of Vincent Crisp's season is, how it progresses. The men's mile, I predicted it. I told you that this was going to be the weekend when we'll have an athlete break 4 minutes. And not only did we have one athlete, we had, I think, 9 athletes break 4 minutes this past weekend. So we had some good mile times put down. A lot of the people came out and showed where they were at in the mile, and so it's showing that the men's mile is going to be a hot event this coming season. Justyn Knight from Syracuse, he PR'd in the men's mile running 3:55.82 at the BU Invitational in Boston. So Justyn Knight, he showed that he's ready to rock and roll this season. I mean, he's coming off of a cross country victory this past cross country season, and so this was his first indoor race, I believe. And so in his first indoor race, he PR'd in the mile running 3:55, which he doesn't focus on the mile solely on the track. He usually runs the 5K or the 3K. So for him to probably have one of the better 5K times of the season shows that Justyn Knight is going to be one to play with. It's not going to be one to play with. I'm sorry. He's not going to be one to play with this coming season once he gets back into the 5K and the 3K. And who knows? Maybe he might switch it up. Maybe he may focus on the mile this coming season, just to switch it up and do something different. It would be nice to see him, just showing his variety. So we'll see about that with Justyn Knight. Also, an impressive run was made by Jonathan Davis, who actually now is ranked number 1 because he ran on a flat track at home. He ran 350. He ran 3:58.46, and that was converted because of the flat track to 3:55.46. So that puts him ahead of Justyn Knight on the rankings. But it was a flat track conversion, so who knows what would have happened if he would have been in the race with Justyn Knight. So I still feel like Justyn Knight's mark is probably going to be the one that everybody focuses on as the top mark that came out of the men's mile this past weekend. Like I said, Jonathan Davis had an impressive run. He's a redshirt freshman at the University of Illinois, 3:58.46. So that was a good run by him, and to do it on a flat track at home, was a good run for him. Also from the University of Oregon, Mick Stanivsak, he PR'd this past weekend, almost shaving 5 seconds off of his mile time. He ran 3:57.90. So Mick Stanivsak from the University of Oregon had a huge PR this past weekend, leading the Oregon athletes as far as the milers were concerned, leading them in their charge. From Northern Arizona, Andy Troert, he PR'd this past weekend as well, running 3:58. So good job, Andy Troert. Reed Brown, the freshman phenom from the University of Oregon, who had already broken 4 minutes flat in the mile out of high school. He had a PR this past week in a 3:59.05. So congratulations goes out to Reed Brown from the University of Oregon. Kyle Mayu from Indiana, he PR'd as well this past weekend running 3:59.15. Cooper Teare, the freshman duo between him and Reed Brown from the University of Oregon, he PR'd as well, breaking 4 minutes for the first time. He came close as a high school senior last year, but he finally did it in his first mile as a collegian. He ran 3:59.29. Also from the University of Oregon, Sam Prakel ran 3:59.56. From Arizona, from the University of Arizona, Carlos Villarreal ran 3:59.65. So we had 9 athletes break 4 minutes this past weekend. So the mile is showing that it's a lot of talented individuals out there, and so we have a couple of freshmen in the mix. We had a redshirt freshman in the mix, so it's some young talent. Then we have Justyn Knight, who's a senior. So we have some old talent as well. So the men's mile, it's going to be interesting. The doors are open for a new mile victor this coming season, and so we'll see how that plays out as the season progresses. In the men's 3,000, Dylan Mackert from Utah State, he ran a PR of 7:52. His previous PR was 8:21, so he shaved off almost 30 seconds on his 3K time. So that's impressive to shave off 30 seconds. To have a 30-second PR in the 3K is very impressive. So Dylan Mackert from Utah State, congratulations goes out to you. From the University of Arkansas, Cameron Griffin, he set a PR of 7:54 this past weekend at home. From Wisconsin, Oliver Hoare ran a PR of 7:54 as well. From BYU, Roy Linkletter ran a PR of 7:55 while he was actually at the New York Armory meet. And then Jack Bruce from the University of Arkansas ran a PR of 7:55 at home this past weekend. So the men's 3K times are slowly trickling in as well. And I expect the men's 3K probably in the next week or two, a lot more people running the 3K. Some of the people that ran the mile this past weekend will probably run the 3K in the next week or two. So we'll see how those times play out and when those times come in the next couple of weeks. The men's 4x4, we had some good quality marks put down in the men's 4x4, all of them from SEC schools. So the SEC schools are showing that they're at the top of the poll right now, the men's 4x4. Texas A&M ran the number 2 time of the season of 3:03.95. LSU ran 3:04.92, and Auburn ran 3:06.60. So they're the number 4 school. LSU is the number 3 school right now, and Texas A&M is number 2 school right now behind the University of Florida, who ran the number 1 time of the season last week. So the top 4 times of the season all coming from SEC schools so far this season, and so we'll see if there's gonna at SECs, obviously they'll lock up. And, maybe those times will get faster. We'll see how that plays out as the season progresses. And we'll see if there's another school out there, like the University of Houston or, maybe, USC will be able to break up the SEC block hole right now that's going on in the men's 4x4. In the men's DMR, the University of Oregon set the number 1 time of the season of 9:31.87. Also, BYU was set the number 2 time at 9:36.13. Penn State also at home ran 9:36.48. So BYU and Penn State, I don't believe those 2 times will be fast enough to qualify them for nationals once all the other schools start putting their runners together and trying to run fast times. But I think Oregon is safe with that 9:31.87. I don't think that there will be 12 other schools that will be able to bump them out of the rankings with that 9:31. So, but definitely BYU and Penn State, they'll have to probably run the DMR again to try to run a faster time in the DMR. It still hasn't been a lot of DMR activity, so a lot of the other schools haven't focused on the DMR yet. So as probably in the next 2 weeks, obviously they probably will put out some more times of the DMR, and probably by conference. If they haven't, they'll focus on that at conference if they haven't already done that. So the men's DMR, we'll see how those play out with the schools in the next few weeks to see if those schools really take the DMR seriously this year. as I think that this is a year that's wide open. I mean, Stanford obviously on paper has the best ability to run the DMR, but we don't know if what they're doing as far as redshirting or who's healthy, who's not with Stanford. So Stanford men's really haven't went hard yet this indoor season, so we don't know what the status is of the Stanford runner. So we'll see how that plays out as the season goes on. In the men's long jump, Grant Holloway from the University of Florida, the very versatile, talented athlete at the University of Florida, shot to the number 2 mark in the long jump this season with a 7.97 jump, which is 26 feet 1 3/4 inches. Keandre Brates, his teammate from the University of Florida, jumped 7.88, which is 25 feet 10 1/4 inch, and Laquan Naeem from the University of Arkansas jumped 7.87, which is 20 feet 10 inches. So those 3 athletes were at the University of Arkansas at the Razorback Invitational, and so Grant Holloway won the Razorback Invitational long jump with his teammate coming in second. Florida went 1 and 2 with the Razorback Invitational, and Arkansas had an athlete that got third, jumping 25 feet 10 inches. So those marks definitely qualified, solidified them for nationals competition in the next month or two. In the men's triple jump, Keandre Bates had an impressive jump of 16.48, which is 54 feet 1 inch, and Eric Sloan from USC jumped 16.33, which is 53 feet 7 inches. So those 2 individuals, definitely we'll see them at nationals as well. So good action, and like I said, good action on the track and on the field. On the men's side, actually, I was at the New York Armory this past weekend at the Dr. Sander Columbia Challenge Invitational. So I saw the men's 60 that I talked about with Cravon Gillespie. I saw the milers. I saw all of Oregon milers run impressive times in the miles, and so I saw Oregon's GMR run 9:31. So it was some good action that went down at the Dr. Sander Columbia Challenge Invitational this past weekend at the New York Armory. I had a very good time, so it was good to see those marks put out there. Also, one of the athletes that I noticed from Ohio State, Zack Bazile, he got second to Cravon Gillespie in the men's 60. Zack Bazile actually ran the men's 60. He did the long jump and the triple jump. He won the long jump and the triple jump at the New York Armory meet this past weekend. And so Zack Bazile is showing that he's a good athlete. I mean, for him to get second in the men's 60, running 6.68, and then jumping very decent in the men's triple jump and the men's long jump, shows that he's a talented athlete, and we'll have to keep an eye out on him to see how he does this coming season, to see if he can make a mark, if he can break up some of the points from the Florida jumpers at NC's, but we'll see how it goes. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Zack Bazile from Ohio State, who had a really good weekend this past weekend at the New York Armory, the Dr. Sander and Columbia Challenge Invitational. So thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. Hopefully you found something interesting. Hopefully if there's some other marks that I didn't mention, some other times that I didn't mention, that you can comment, that you can talk about it, that we can report on it. So I thank you for watching this recap of the men's NCAA Division I track and field action that happened this past weekend. Please like, comment, subscribe to my channel so that you won't miss out on any of the upcoming videos. And so I thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in to your official track and field bleacher report. Thank you.